freaking first cut. Golly.
What's going on, YouTube? Back live again. Round 2 recap for this week's U.S. Open. We'll cover everything. Look forward to the odds board. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll jump into it right now. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, surrounded by Kyle Porter.
You never go to me first.
I know, but I was confused. You're on my right. I'm right-handed.
Wow.
We're in a different setup.
I'm on
We're in a
tilt.
very different setup.
I'm on tilt. It's like I thought Rory was going to be on tilt today. We got an unbelievable leaderboard. We got a ton to talk about.
It's nuts. Greg DuCharme to my left. Sorry if I was left-handed. I would have gone to you first, Greg.
And it's over. Rory won the U.S. Open today, 69.
Wow.
He did it.
The declaration.
Yeah. This is
Run the Vince Carter.
Run it. It's
Video.
over. He did it.
You said, we talked about this last night.
correct.
I asked you guys, if Rory shoots blank, the U.S. Open's over. 69.
Yep.
He shot it. What did you say?
I said 68.
I said 66.
So you were giving it. You were very. Yeah,
Did you
courageous.
budget in Collin Morikawa leading by 1?
No. But I'm sticking to it. Collin Morikawa doesn't. He's curving it the other way.
I can see you trying to
Yeah.
trying to talk yourself into this
find
right
a
now.
reason. Find a
in his
reason.
brain. Yeah.
No, the real reason is Rory's game from at the start, at the beginning of the week, is just on a different level. And his short game is the best that it's ever been in his career. His putting is the second best it's ever been statistically. And more recently, it's probably even better than 2019. And you combine that with his ball striking, and I think it's so hard to beat this guy. And then there's the off the golf course stuff. He's so motivated. He looks so energized. And
He seems kind of jacked up.
yeah,
Like
You talked
he
to him
wants
after the
this.
round.
I did. I had a brief moment with him after the round, and I said, "Are you?" Because he's talked a lot. To me, the story going into Saturday is Rory has talked a lot over the course of his career about how do I run down my former self, my 24-year-old self, my 25-year-old self. I used to play with so much freedom. How do I continue to do that? And now he's got 3 major champions in Morikawa, Scheffler, and Rahm, who are his age, or who are the age Rory was when he was winning all these majors. And so he's chasing like this ghost of himself in those guys' form, right? And to me, that's the story of the weekend. And I asked him, I said, can you even play with freedom at a US Open? And he got up in my face and he was like, for the first time in a long time, I can. And I was like,
really,
wow.
that was an intense look you just gave me.
That's what it felt like. And so I was like, why? And he goes, well, I just have more confidence in how I'm playing than I have in several years. And I said, even more than 2019, because Players Championship, he went into that Pebble US Open with, I can't remember what he did leading in, but it seemed he had a lot of momentum. And he said, yeah, even more than 2019. So Greg
Yeah.
might be, you see the future.
We don't often start
The crystal ball.
with the guy who's in a 5-way tie for third on these shows, but I guess that's where we're at.
Well,
It's just
yeah, I mean that's my
Yeah,
storyline
I
going
agree.
into the
Let's-
weekend.
Let's dig in. It was a 1 under 69 from Rory McIlroy. He conceivably played himself out of it when he whiffed 2 green side of 3, made double there, fought his way back into it. You could argue, as he tends to do, Greg, leaves a couple of strokes out there, but it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to fall back. Everybody's going to make mistakes at U.S. Opens. This is kind of a different beast.
He always leaves shots out there. That's what part of the amazing thing
Right.
about Rory McIlroy. And it's the disappointing thing. You always felt like Tiger got everything he possibly could out of his round. Jordan Spieth often does that too. Rory always feels like he leaves a lot out there. And but now he's leaving a couple shots out there and he's 1 back. You could argue the real lead is 4 under as well.
Yeah, the guy who's won 20% of his major championships at the top of the leaderboard.
It wouldn't be a very good argument, but
Yeah,
you could try.
argue it.
you would probably try to make it. I don't know that it would be great. Yeah, I mean, we got a great U.S. Open leaderboard last year, and we're getting another one this year at a very different course, right? This is totally different than what Torrey Pines was.
For
and
sure.
I'm interested to see, I thought today was what was the scoring average? Was it the same?
Well, it got a little bit easier in the afternoon, so I think it was like 2.2, but there was like a shot difference between the morning and the afternoon.
I'd like to see him kind of turn it up just a little bit on Saturday.
Because I think it's
tomorrow's
going
the day. Tomorrow's the day to turn it up.
I think that would bring that would pull the Scheffler, Rory, Morikawa, Rahm group. It would kind of push them, or I guess it would bring everybody else down and move them up the leaderboard. So I think they've handled the golf course really well so far. That's not always true of the USGA, but it's been awesome.
You know who doesn't think they've handled the golf course very well? Graham McDowell. Use the U word, Greg. Unfair.
Whatever.
He pointed to one very specific aspect of this golf course: the fescue, like on top and around the bunkers.
Hey, you know what's unfair is a golf tournament that he played in last weekend, handing out a purse of $25 million when they don't have a business plan. That's unfair.
You could argue that's unfair.
You could make that argument.
Yeah, and that's one you could win, depending on who you're arguing against.
Right.
I think the fescue on top of the bunkers is. I mean, I'm not inside the ropes, so who am I to say it? But you look at this leaderboard. I mean, Rory dealt with that at one point. The fescue on top of the bunkers, at some point, it's one strand. I mean, it's very thin. I don't think it's even anywhere close to the thickness on top of the bunkers that you see at Bethpage Black, where we've had a U.S. Open in 2002 and more recently the PGA in 19. You're nowhere near that kind of rough on top of the bunkers. So I think it's been very fair.
I sort of understand the argument, but it's a little bit like the sand at Southern Hills where it's like, I don't know, man, like don't hit it over there. Like that just kind of is what it is, you know?
I think it's also hard to say it's unfair when it hurts or helps everyone evenly, right? Like if it was only fescue rough 260 yards from the tee box and then all first cut after that, I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty unfair.
Right.
Because the longer hitters...
Well, I think what
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, what you're saying is like, hey, over there, if you push it right, it's random.
Right.
And everybody knows that.
Right.
And that's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's not, I think that's a good point.
The man they're all trying to chase down at the top of the leaderboard, of course, Joel Damon. Okay, we'll go to COLLIN Morikawa, who we've heard the stories, fighting the baby fade, the cut, having to play the draw, shot the round of the day, 66.
He's not really hitting. He's not hitting fairways the way you would expect. If you said COLLIN Morikawa is leading the way at the U.S. Open after 2 rounds, I'd expect him to be hitting 75% of his fairways.
What's he at? 50 for round 2, 61 for both rounds.
It's good.
Slightly
good.
Better than field average.
But only
27.
slightly better. I'd expect it to be a really big average. But his distance is pretty good. That's above field average. And the putter is the separator, which on these greens, I'm very surprised that he's having the performance that he's having on the greens so far this week. It's insane.
9th around the green, 13th in putting.
I think Morikawa is interesting because he's kind of proven early in his career that not just at majors, but at all tournaments, when he gets into contention,
all bets are off.
He wins. I mean, he wins a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you're Rahm, Rory, Scheffler, that's the concerning part is like, man, this guy, he either finishes like T50 or he wins, you know? Like
it's a concern.
It's not for him.
Yeah, it's
for
great.
everybody else.
It's great for him. It's just going to be, man, you've got 4 just thoroughbreds in Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, and Morikawa. I saw Rory talking about how like, man, I love having all those guys up there. I want them to shoot 65 so I can go out and shoot 64. I'm like, I don't think you want Collin Morikawa shooting 65 on Saturday because then it's actually over. But, like, it's going to be Saturday is going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
If Morikawa leads after 54, we're going to have a much deeper, like, historical context conversation because it would be, as we've mentioned a million times, 3rd leg of the career Grand Slam in his 11th start. According to Justin Ray, he would be the fewest major championship starts needed to reach 3 wins. Oh, since the Masters was founded. Thank you, Jacob, for that caveat there. Peter Thompson did it in 12. So Morikawa would not only he'd also be the fastest to get to 3 major wins.
I mean, of course he is. Look at what he's done. You're talking 11. He'd have 3 and 11.
I do think, like, I don't know if what he's done at majors it's not sustainable, right? He's not going to win 20% of his majors. And he's also, this is what we saw from Rory early in his career, where he gets into contention at majors and he wins them all. Boom, 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 boom. That might have been 5 booms, but 4 of them anyway. And Morikawa at some point, because we've seen this happen to Rory since then, is going to get into contention at a major and miss all the putts on Saturday or hit it out of bounds on Sunday, or, whatever, something like that. And I think the question is that this week, mentally, is he still playing with enough freedom like we talked about at the Open Championship last year, or like the PGA the year before that? Or is there some, I don't think there's scar tissue built up, but at some point there will be. And then it becomes like more questionable. Because right now it feels like, hey, Collin Morikawa is going to go win because that's the only thing he's ever done.
Yeah. The Joel Damon, Hayden Buckley conversation. Joel Damon also 5 under par. That's tied for first. Hayden Buckley in that big pack T3 with Rahm and Rory and Bo Hostler and Aaron Wise. Greg, you and I were talking, both of those guys inside the top 20 in driving accuracy this season, which makes a lot of sense when you're out here looking at how thick and nasty this rough is.
Yeah.
Right. And this is why I think the golf course is so fair, because you have the Rahm and the Scheffler and the Morikawa. Maybe he doesn't belong in that conversation, but Rory definitely does. You have these big, heavy hitters who are so often on top of the game, but they're not necessarily overly accurate off the tee, in large part because of their length. So even Jon Rahm, who's very straight off the tee, misses fairways just because he hits it so far. You can only be a degree off and you end up missing a fairway, especially when they get firm like this. But you also have this ability for a Hayden Buckley and a Joel Damon to contend out here because the golf course isn't too long.
Yeah, that's what's great about it. I was talking about that with somebody earlier. It's some of the U.S. Opens we've gone to in recent years, it's been like, I don't know, there's 9 guys that can win.
What was Aaron Hill's, 8,000 yards?
Yeah, there's like 4 guys that can win that tournament. It's like Rory, DJ, Brooks, and Bryson.
Brian Harmon, yeah.
JT was up there. But you come here and it's like, there's 40 guys that can win this golf tournament, which is awesome. That's what it should be.
Does this make you think we can go back to Marion? remember we rode off going back to Marion for a while?
He also rode off going to Wingfoot. So
hey.
You're like, we don't need Wingfoot.
I love Wingfoot. I'm just saying, Marion, we are going back there in 2050, so I'm really looking forward to that. It should be very similar to this setup here. 2030
I can't even
as
tell if
well.
he's joking or not. Is that real? They really
Are we?
Yeah.
Is Marion scheduled?
Jacob shaking his
Yeah.
head no.
Pinehurst is 2049.
Marion's
not scheduled.
Yes,
There's no
it is.
way it's
Marion's
scheduled.
scheduled for
Marion will have
2030.
slid into the ocean by that point.
It's 2030 or
Where do you think
2031.
Is it close to the ocean?
Jake, we'll get a
It's,
fact
it's only
check,
a couple
fact
hundred
check.
miles inland, isn't it?
2030.
2030
Okay.
is Marion.
And
And 2050 or just
I mean, everybody's gonna. We're gonna have 23-year-olds that are driving all the par 4s at Marion in 2030. 2051. What are we doing?
why,
It's-
why are we
it's-
doing this?
Bryson's gonna be halfway through his. He's only gonna be like halfway through his life, right? He
That's
said
what
he
he
was gonna
said.
live to be
150 or 200 or something.
Yeah.
Hard segue into Jon Rahm, the guy that I think's probably going to win this. I mean,
Rahm looks steady.
and we talked on Thursday. The stat profile was great. He repeated all the good stuff and then made more putts on Friday.
yeah, and he's also very scary because he drives it so well.
He's also
better
very
than Rory.
scary because he's actually like scary and intense.
Jacob and I walked past him today, and Jacob was like, "Man, he's got such a presence."
Yes,
I
he
was like,
does.
yeah,
He does. He legit
The
does.
shot he hit into 14 today. Did you see it?
Was that the
So
one he made
sick.
the eagle?
He had like 270
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And he hits it off this. It was like a center right pin, I think. And he like, you can't even see the hole.
No,
And he runs it up there off the right side and runs 12 feet for eagle and makes it. And you're like, that's sick.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
that's so good.
I think he has more presence than anybody else on the PGA Tour, except
I
Tiger.
I like that take.
I
like
don't
that.
think there's anybody who walks by. Even Rory. Rory can hide, probably just because he's small.
Rahm's like actually a lot bigger.
Like he's thundering by you.
Do you think?
Wow.
Do you think Bryson has presence?
Yes, I just haven't seen Big Bryson in person as much. I
Yeah.
saw Little Bryson more in person.
It's like Little Penny. Remember Little Penny
Oh yeah.
from the the Nike
The Nike
commercials in like the
commercials.
90s. Little Penny was awesome.
We've had a lot of title defenses this year.
There's no other golf podcast tonight that's talking about Little Penny.
No.
Sorry, we're
Title
off the
defenses.
rails.
Did Sam Burns successfully defend?
Yes.
KH Lee did.
Yep.
Wait, where was Burns? Was Valspar?
Valspar.
Yeah,
KH Lee.
yeah.
There's been at least one more. Oh, Rory, technically. Took him 3
Three-
years.
3 years
but
later.
he did.
That's
There might
what
be
he
one
won
more.
in 2019 going into the U.S. Open,
The Canadian. That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the week
He
before?
shot 61 on the final
He
day.
wore the Kyle Lowry jersey, and everybody thought he was going to win Pebble by like 10.
Yeah. Yeah, he went crazy.
Wasn't that before the U.S. Open?
It was. Same schedule in 19.
Jacob says yes. I
Was
trust
it?
Jacob.
Okay. Yeah, we have had a lot of title defenses. I think Rahm is probably the safest pick out of all four of those guys. Well, we haven't talked about Scheffler
Yeah,
yet.
we're gonna
but
do that
Rahm
next.
is. Rory worries me because of the scar tissue. Morikawa worries me because it feels like the putter can go at any moment, and because he doesn't. Again, he said this at the Scottish Open where he's like, I can't get my irons through the turf, and then he wins the Open the week after. Can't hit a fade
He's
here.
making it up. It's a bit. He's doing a bit.
It
It's
feels
just not
like
very funny.
it feels like that. It does. But Rahm, I feel like is the one that he just feels the most steady and the one that I trust the most out of those four right now.
That is fair. When Morikawa, did you guys see him? Was he hitting fades? Because I saw him on 13 today. Hit a
I thought he-
fade. Right
everything
to the
I saw
middle
was
of
a
the
fade.
green.
I thought he was. He
Like,
might be.
I didn't see him hit one draw. At least not with the tracer.
Well, I was talking to somebody last year at the Open. He was talking about, I love to work it both ways. I love shot shaping. And the guy I was talking to is like, he only hits one shot. Like there's only one shot
Yeah,
shape.
he does.
Morikawa's so
And he-
delusional.
He's just making stuff up.
He stepped up on 12 today. The holes I saw, he's on 12. He steps up, aiming way left, and hits a big cut into the fairway.
Yeah.
And then on 13, his second shot, he's standing there. He's aiming way left again, big cut to the middle of the green. I mean, they're great shots, but I'm like, I guess he found his fade.
Not according to him.
Number one golfer in the world, Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah.
3 under par for the championship. 2 shots off the lead.
Came from out of nowhere.
He was 2. So the cut line ended up being 3 over.
Yeah.
He was 2 over, and in a blink of an eye, he was 3 under because he was 2 over through 6, birdied 8. Then he got on the run where he birdies 14. Birdies 13, eagles 14, birdie 16. You look up, he locks in 3 under.
Yeah. Well, we were watching it together this morning, and it felt a little bit like, well, Scheffler's out of, like, we're just kind of wrote him off. Like, not wrote him off, but just weren't thinking about him. Boom, he's tied for the lead. And I thought what was interesting, we just walked over here. Jacob and I were walking over here. He was out on the practice putting green. I mean, his round ended 8 hours ago, 7 hours ago. It was a long time ago. I think he came back. I don't think he was here the whole time, but I think he came back and was working on his putting. So I don't know if that's something to keep an eye on, but yeah, I mean, I think the storyline with him that's the most intriguing to me, there's only been 5 guys that have won Masters and U.S. Open in the same year since World War II. Spieth, Tiger, Jack, Arnold, and Ben Hogan.
He'd also be like a historical context guy
Yeah.
that we'd have to talk
Well,
about.
and this kind of year is a historical context year.
Right.
He'd ruin all the player of the year discussions we'd love to have.
We are trying so hard to formulate a scenario in which
Yeah.
Rory wins this, and then the FedEx Cup, and then he I don't know.
Maybe it's Justin Thomas.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
Cam
trying.
Smith
Burns.
could do it.
Sam Burns.
Burns
What's Burns
is in
at?
the
1,
mix.
2?
He played well. I'll
He's
find
at
out.
2.
He was one of the guys that Rory mentioned
He shot
about
3 under today.
liking that, guys were up there. He said,
Yeah.
2 under.
okay. He was-
He mentioned Sam Burns by name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
sick.
speaks to
Yeah.
what he has.
Burns is very, very, very much in it. There's a lot of guys in it. But the problem for the guys that are the problem for Brooks is you got to bypass Rory, Scheffler, Rahm, Burns,
Right.
Morikawa, Hayden Buckley.
Joel Damon.
Throw him in there.
Yeah, Adam Hadwin at 2.
Matt,
Tough-
I dodged
tough-
my Canadian
tough day
tattoo
for
bet.
Greg.
Yeah, by 9 shots. I think
you could have put it at what'd you say?
we said 63. I could have almost got away with 73.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you dodged it. But hey,
Hey, life comes
it would have been
at you
awkward
fast
if
at
he
the
shot
US.
62 and Rory shot 69.
Yeah.
That would have been a little
Oh,
awkward.
that would have been. That would have been.
We would have got the tattoo.
I would
tonight.
have just been laughing at both of y'all over here.
Honorable mention Matt Fitzpatrick, who was in the wrong wave and just we were talking about this in the media center. He's just like, oh, he's in the top 10 again, lurking again. I don't know if he's going to win. Probably not.
He just doesn't make
It's just
bogeys.
unbelievable.
He just continues to chip away and hit fairways and hit green. His driver is on a string,
Yeah.
and he's perfect for a venue like this.
I'm impressed with actually both Burns and Fitzpatrick, because I've been critical more so of Fitzpatrick because he's had more major starts and he doesn't get into the mix at majors. And man, he's improved. Like, he's stepped his game up. He contended at the PGA. I think people like to talk about him not winning a PGA Tour event, and that's fair because he's played in a lot of them. But you have to give him credit for how much he's improved his game all around. I mean, he's driving it past DJ. His ball speed was higher than DJ's today. That's unbelievable. I mean,
Definitely
it's
added
really,
speed.
really impressive.
And this is a guy who complained about all the distance. And how courses need to be more accurate. Right, he was very vocal about it.
And then he kind of just sucked it up and went out and did the work. And that's commendable.
Oh, so commendable. I've become a huge fan of his this year.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the odds board and a couple of notables who missed the cut. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Phil's going home. Victor's going home. Tony's going home.
I've got a call here in like 5 minutes.
Shane's
by the
going
way,
home.
so
Do you really?
I do.
Okay, quick on one of those guys.
Sam again?
Phil, Victor, Tony, Shane Lowry.
Well, Victor,
That was not good.
he got in it. He got in the mix.
He was 2 under, and it was like tied for third, and he was feeling it.
And he was feeling it, and then he just I don't even know if he made 6 bogeys in a row. I know that.
And 9 out of 11.
I feel like the short game, we were talking about this on HQ. You've got guys that, like, Cam Smith has a hole in his driver. Not a literal hole in his driver, but that's the hole in his game. Hovland has a hole in his short game, and this place just exposes your holes. It exposes your weaknesses. Your game has to be so sound across the board, and that's what we're seeing from guys like Rory and Rahm and Scheffler. Their games are just, they don't have any holes right now.
Cam Smith also missed the cut, by the way.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Cam Smith's driver. Yeah.
Right. And that's a big hole in his game, that accuracy. He hits snap hooks sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
That left miss is...
And it's a two-way miss. The left miss is ugly, so it draws a lot of attention. But then he can also blow it right. The high right, the opposite. And so he's got to work that out.
Odds board here, gentlemen, in case you can see it. Our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook have the updated odds with 36 to go. Co-favorites.
Give me okay, we got Rory and Morikawa at 4.
Yep.
Rahm is not even the... Are you surprised by that?
I mean, Collin Morikawa, twice a major champion, is 1 shot better. So no, not. I mean, it's 4.5.
Can we even call? I mean, I know Rory has 4 majors, but it almost feels like he said this. He was like, it feels like I'm going for my first, and I agree.
Yeah,
it almost feels like a different career.
It does. Yeah. It does. It really does.
I like Burns at 16.
Burns at 16.
Burns at 16 is sweet.
I think you have to be careful with a Damon.
I think you do too.
I know they're playing great. Even if it's Patrick, I don't think these heavy hitters they're going to be around no matter what. And I mean, it's over. So you're throwing money away with anybody except Rahm.
What's Brooks at?
I thought it was 40. Yeah.
Man, Brooks could have been at like 2 under.
I know.
And he's even. And when he won in 2018, he was 5 back after he was 5 back after day 2. 6 back after day 1.
5 back right now.
He's 5 back right now. He is in it.
Give me something on Brooks at 40.
So I know you got a call. I got one quick question. I was thinking about this earlier. Who would you rather have in a major championship, Collin Morikawa or healthy Brooks?
Who would I rather?
You got to pick one guy for a major.
Like Collin Morikawa right now can't hit a cut.
Or healthy Brooks.
Or healthy Brooks.
Yeah. Healthy 2022 Brooks.
Both of them.
Is Brooks not healthy? Are we breaking news here?
No, I think he's healthy, but he's just getting healthy, right? He's rusty.
I think Brooks. He just had he's had so much he's so in control at majors, and he's the guy that when he's in the lead, you're like, I just don't see a path to him losing.
Yeah.
Like he's so in control.
And he's mean. He's so mean.
Who would you take?
He's a menace.
Quickly.
We saw him yesterday.
He beat Brooks.
We
were walking on the same
scared.
pathway,
Terrified.
and I'll tell you what, he was not moving out of our way.
Yeah, he looked at us like we shouldn't be there.
I agree with
We
him.
had
We shouldn't be.
Well, we had credentials
I felt
on.
like I shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I did feel
That's
like
the way
that.
Brooks made me feel. All right. Well, hey, we'll be back after rounds 3 and 4 to break down the rest of this U.S. Open. But for now, Greg doing all the hard work behind the camera. Greg doing all the hard work here, the real GFD. Jacob doing all the hard work on the 1s and 2s. KP.
I'm just rolling
working.
around talking to Rory, and Greg has been the hardest worker of the week.
For sure.
He deserves way more credit than us.
For sure.
Great setup. It's been awesome.
At Kyle Porter CBS, at the real GFD, at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.